what you were able to accomplish, turning 100. I didn't believe you. You saw the DM. I didn't believe you when you told me you turned the 100 into 7,300. So this short interview I did with Justin, someone who DM'd me the other day because a couple of his accounts had been limited, is the reason I love doing this job. He DM'd me about some limits. Turns out that in this same message, he tells me he started with $100 in November, late November, and has since turned it into 7,300. Now it's up to around 8,000 after we did this interview a couple days later. I love it because he mentioned he started with 100 and said, hey, if the tool sucks, I'm only down $100, but it didn't. And he kept winning and he kept grinding, and those returns compounded and compounded from $300 profit one month, then $1,000 profit the next, $2,000, $3,000, and now he's sitting north of $4,000 in profit, and we're not even midway through March. So take a listen. He should be able to help you figure out the essentials and really just the few key tenets to being able to profit with PortfolioEV, even if you're starting with an extremely small bankroll. So roll the tape. Justin, what's up, man? Appreciate you doing this from the comfort of your car. You told me you left work for a few minutes prior to us starting this to get it done. So thank you. But I think just talking to you is going to help a lot of people maybe starting PortfolioEV or thinking about getting into it, because what you were able to accomplish, turning 100, I didn't believe you. You saw the DM. I didn't believe you when you told me you turned the 100 into 7,300 in like just over 4 months. So I appreciate you doing this, and I'm really eager to see how you did it too.
Sure. Yeah, I had a good night last night too. So now it's 8,200. But yeah, it's just it feels like
nice.
It feels like I'm printing. It's crazy.
So let me ask you something. First of all, what state are you in? Just so I get an idea of what access to sports books you have.
I'm in Kansas, so I have DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, ESPN, Caesars. Most of it's on DraftKings now, but yeah, I have money on all the sites. I'm now limited on a few, but so I'm mostly betting on DraftKings. But yeah, I do have money on all of them.
Well, yeah, that's kind of how all of this started, right? You DM me asking about limits, and you're like, listen, I turned 100 into $7,300. I hope you don't mind that I'm divulging this information.
No, you're fine.
Turned 100 into 7,300, and like I thought maybe if the tools suck, fine, I'll start with 100. I'll place some small bets. What's the worst that can happen? I lose $100. Now, what I want to know, and I'm sure everybody else wants to know, is when you started with 100, did you take like all 100 and put it on DraftKings? Did you take 50 and 50? Did you split it up between like really small amounts to each sports book? And how were you sizing your bets with such a, at the time, small bankroll?
So yeah, I pretty much started on DraftKings and BetMGM, and then I had like maybe $20 on a couple others. And I was, you put in your bankroll info into the PortfolioEV tool, and I actually sized my bets down about half. So I wanted to get more bets in. So I don't know why I did that. It just felt weird putting my entire bankroll in play every day. But so I just sized my bets down. I thought that would help with, variance. I don't know if it does, but it feels like it does.
It definitely, I mean, it does. The more bets, that's why a lot of people, and you can flat bet them if you want, or using the bankroll manager, a lot of people will just say like, all right, say they have a $300 bankroll, they might put $200 in there. So they can still bet they can still bet the appropriate size per bet, but get probably like 20 more bets down than they would have normally. When you're ready to join Justin and experience the power of PortfolioEV for yourself, use code 8K and get your first 2 weeks entirely free when you check out at OddsShopper.com. Place hundreds of plus EV bets daily and do it effortlessly with the mass entry tool that loads every bet directly into your bet slip, and get bet size recommendations for every bet you place using our bankroll manager. And now with our brand new parlay builder, you can generate dozens of plus EV parlays in a single click. So use code 8K when you check out at OddsShopper.com, and your first 2 weeks are on us. All of the data is back tested, right? So you know what bets are profitable long-term and what aren't, which is what I'm curious of. Like when people start off with this, I think there is a bit of a learning curve with PortfolioEV, and then something clicks where you're like, oh shit, now I understand how now I get it. when you started, were you actually building portfolios, or did you just
No.
take like a basic, here's the top bets, maybe
Yep.
filter out negative HROI bets or something
Exactly.
like that?
Yep, I filtered out the negative HRI bets. I just focused on like the OS rating above like a 3, basically, and yeah, I don't have any portfolios set up, so yeah.
You still don't?
Still don't. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to do it. So
Really?
yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, we'll talk about that, because that I mean, maybe you don't want to change anything if we're being
Right.
honest.
Exactly.
Just keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But okay. So what you can do though is like you could build portfolios where you only get 3 OS rating or higher,
Really? Okay.
or where you're eliminating certain markets that are negative, like, or like with NHL points for me, I'll only bet them if they're 2 OS rating or above. So I
Yeah.
don't have to eliminate negative HROI, because in my portfolios, I'm only getting what I want. So yeah,
Right.
we can
Okay.
talk
Yeah.
about that, but there's a whole nother level. I was wondering too, like I saw you use Juice Reel, right? To
I
track
do.
your bets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I saw, you had sent me your Juice Reel, and we always talk about, like with PortfolioEV, compounding returns. It's like, listen, if you continue to reinvest your bankroll each day, people, Justin, I'm sure you've seen this, where people see like, oh, 6% ROI, that's terrible. Who wants that?
Yeah.
Like I could do that in the S&P.
Right.
They don't understand that 6% ROI on everything you're wagering.
Right. Yeah.
So what I'm curious is, like, when you started with 100, how
Mhm.
long did it take you to get to 200 and then to 1,000? And then did you start seeing like accelerated growth once it
Yeah.
got to a certain point?
For sure. So I started in like late November, probably sometime just after Thanksgiving, around Thanksgiving. And I think my November month, I made, I don't know, $60 or something like that. So my bankroll probably didn't double until like, early December. And then, yeah, it just took off. Obviously you're going to have losing days, but I mean, I think my worst stretch, I had like 5 out of 6 losing days. And I started to question it at that time. It's like, is this maybe too good to be true? I'm finally, starting to see some losses, but then I just stayed with it and haven't really had any downswings since. So yeah.
And we will have them again. There's no,
Oh
like,
yeah,
because
for sure. I know it just sucks, but yeah, it happens. Yeah.
it sucks. But I think, man, I'm telling, like, when people get through their first, like when if you weather the storm through a tough down stretch, and you started in November. Late November was actually kind of tough to begin with.
Yeah.
Maybe you got in right at the end when it started going good, but
Maybe.
there was a part of November that was rough, at least for me.
Yeah.
And then a part of January too, I
January.
think. But
That's where it was. Yeah, I had like 5 out of 6 losing days in the beginning of January. Yeah.
yeah, but once you weather at least in my experience and with people I've kind of talked to, once you weather that storm and you're like, oh, we're climbing back up again, and then you zoom out on the big picture, say like in your case 4 months, those downswings are essentially
Nothing.
non-existent. Like
Yeah.
you'd have to squint your eyes to see them. So
Right.
it's awesome to see though that, so like $60 in November, I'm looking at it now, then, and you started with 100, so 352 in December.
Right.
And then it really started. I mean, 1,200 in January,
Yep.
2,300 profit in February,
Mm-hmm.
and you're at 3,500. No,
Yep.
well, after yesterday, you're at what, $4,700 profit in
Yeah.
March alone.
I think, yeah, my ROI in March is like 8.5 or somewhere around that. So ridiculous. I know that's not sustainable, but yeah.
All right, so here's the big question then. Like, if you had to say maybe a few things that you did out of the gate or that you're doing now that you didn't do then that you think may have optimized the process. You already said you don't even have portfolios and you've made this money, right? I have 20 of them personally. Do I?
Right.
But you don't need it. You
Right.
need them, but you don't need 20 is what I'm saying. If you were to look to someone and go, all right, here are maybe the 4 things that you could do or that
Yeah.
you did, because $100 to now 8,500 is preposterous. What would it be?
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, what's worked for me is, like I said, focusing on those higher OS ratings or values, and then just getting as many bets in as you can, just putting all in play every day, because everything you bet's going to be positive EV.
Do you have notifications on?
I don't have. Well, no, I don't. No.
Okay, yeah. I turn the push
I,
notifications
I
on through the app.
I figured if I did, like by the time I got the notification, got on
It
there,
might be
I don't.
gone.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I hear you. We're actually working on something to like speed it up. I think it'll be like 1 minute from when you can,
right.
which would be nice. It
Yeah,
does kill my phone battery quicker, but I like knowing that there's, what I use it reminds me sometimes if I'm forgetting. I'll be like, oh shit, I got to get some more bets in.
right. Yeah.
Are you in the Discord by any chance?
I'm not. No.
Jump in the Discord, dude. You'll
Okay.
enjoy it in there,
Yeah.
man. You can
Okay.
sync it straight through the app. But you filter out negative HROI bets, right? So you're
I
only
do.
betting profitable
Yeah,
stuff.
I do. And like I said, I size my bankroll down to what from its actual value to about half or less. So the recommended bet sizing are a lot smaller, so I can get more bets in. And even on like the days like yesterday when there's 10 or 11 NBA games, I'll even bet smaller than normal. So yeah.
So smaller bankroll, putting in the bankroll tool, smaller bankroll than what you actually have. Get
Hmm.
as many bets down as possible.
Hmm.
Filter out negative HROI bets,
Hmm.
and
And
I guess
then
that.
yeah, and like I said, on like Saturdays or Sundays when there's games all day, and you can roll over those after you win those bets, if you have everything in play, you can keep betting. So you may have a $5,000 bankroll, but on like a day like that, you may be able to get in $8,000 worth of bets. So
Yeah, you might have it right. You might have an $8,000 bankroll. Really?
right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I really appreciate this, man, because
Yeah,
I'm not sure because you're the one living it. I'm not sure if you see kind of how impressive is one word, but I think to an average person looking at this, they'd think it's not, I don't want to say impossible, but
right.
improbable because you know, oh, well, how am I going to do this? People are, dumping money into meme coins and stuff, hoping that they're the
Yeah,
0.000. I'm not saying you can't eventually hit on a meme coin. What I'm saying is, in all likelihood, most people are going to lose money. With Portfolio EV, there is something to be said about like if you do it right, you're going to win money. It's just to see such quick growth for you on $100 is crazy.
yeah, it's crazy, but it's not like an accomplishment. I mean, it's the tool. It's not me. So
Well,
it's
you're
awesome.
doing something right. I mean, I think
Yeah.
rolling profits
And,
over on Saturday. Go ahead.
yeah, and one thing I didn't mention is take advantage of the boosts, the no sweat bets. I was a big parlay better before, and I would just obviously a losing parlay better, but now getting the plus EV parlay bets in with the boosts, the no sweat bets, any promo. So yeah, take advantage of that too.
And we were talking about limits off of this on X. Those are great for limited accounts too, even if it's like $6-7 parlays,
Yeah,
because DraftKings won't allow you to bet the same player twice as a straight bet, but you can put them in as many parlays as you want. So like 2-leg parlay, 3-leg parlays, 4-team round robin by twos
right.
and stuff like that. And it actually allows you to get more exposure to individual bets.
Okay.
So that's one way to do it. But when you say it's not an accomplishment, I get it. Like you don't want to take credit for what the tool has done. But what I'm saying, and I've been doing this for a while, that type of growth is an accomplishment because but the weird thing and the wild thing I'd say is you only actually need to be doing like 4 or 5 things to see those type of profits. Like you said, if you're betting as many as you can, if you're properly sizing your bets and maybe even downsizing your bankroll to get more volume in, and then just only betting stuff that's been historically profitable for the current season, given that we're late in NBA and NHL in our tools, there's not much else to it.
No, no, it's pretty simple.
It is, man. Anyway, Justin, I really appreciate you taking the time. I think this will
Yeah,
help a lot of people. I think a lot of people will initially scoff at it, thinking like he didn't do that, right?
right.
But all of your results are right here.
Yeah,
If you have a picket that you'd be willing to share with, or a juice reel that you'd be willing to share with me to throw it on the screen,
yeah,
that would be awesome
yeah.
because that stuff you can't fake that.